Mas, thank you, and thank you for the partnership. So much of our Jesuit education is based off of collaboration. And while there's a lot of fun elements to that and a lot of meaningful elements to that, the real point is in the learning that takes place. So we appreciate the communication department partnering with us to put together an event like this. My name is Eileen Hebler. I'm the Director of Partnerships and Recruiting. I'm a Loyola graduate, and fun fact, I am in the communications department. So I am also an emerging media Master of Arts student with a graduation date of 2025. How many of us are walking together in 2025? Excellent, 2025, here we are. So this brings me a slight amount of extra joy in the work that I do to talk to some amazing communication professionals. In terms of hosting this event, there are two students who are helping me tonight as well. And I'd like to invite Randy Fulton to stand up and introduce himself and share his part on the team tonight.
My name is Randy Fulton. I'm a senior. I'm a communications major, so I specialize in advertising and public relations. I have a minor in marketing. I was developing with questions part of it.
Thanks, Randy. Many of you might recognize Randy. And if not, you've just grew your network. Now you know a senior who's had some very significant internships that you'll hear about along the way. And Caroline, can you tell everyone about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know I've had a few classes with a lot of you, but for those of you who don't know me, my name is Caroline Wolfington, and I'm a senior here at Loyola. My major is communications with specializations in journalism and digital media with a minor in marketing as well. So a few internships that I've had here during my time at Loyola and also during the summertime is my first one was with Carlisle's Chesapeake. So I basically just helped edit her videos and posted them to YouTube. And then my next internship was actually with Paralux Video Production. So my job there was as a producer to work on projects that clients were sent to them. And then my last internship that I had last summer was with CBS Philadelphia. So I was able to be a broadcast intern and actually get some on-camera work and do stand-ups, go in the studio, do some anchor shots. So that was a lot of fun and a really great experience as well.
Did you have to stand out in the rain?
Yes.
Are you really an anchor until you stand out in the rain?
I don't think so.
Okay, there you go. So if you'd like to know about Caroline getting soaking wet, be sure to ask her about that later. So moving on to our Greyhound alumni who are joining us. We often talk about the Greyhound Nation, and this is a moment where the Greyhound Nation comes to life. They're here, they're in the room today. So we'd love to invite our panelists to start with your name and your class year, your current job, and what you were involved with at Loyola. And I'm happy to repeat any of that. We'll start with Christelle.
This on? Okay.
Yes.
Hi. Hi, everyone. My name is Christelle Sharp. It's actually with an E at the end, but there was an error, which is totally fine. I graduated from Loyola University, Maryland in 2016, and my major was in communications and studio arts with a specialization in digital media. So currently I am an e-commerce graphic designer at Flywheel, which used to be called Flywheel Digital. And
What were you involved with at Loyola?
Okay, I worked at I think it was the Julio Fine Arts Gallery. Okay, as a, what's it called, art assistant. So like I would help set up the new exhibits and put them down, and then like help out with the openings. And then I was also at Alana, like mentoring students and talking with them. So
amazing. Yeah. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brandon Lobiondo, and I only graduated from Loyola last year in 2023. I'm also in the emerging media program, so me and Eileen have had a couple of classes. I currently work with the Philadelphia Union, which is an MLS team. I mainly work with the Academy, which is their youth teams, youth 13 through 17. They're one of the best academies, so there's a lot of well-known youth players on there. And most recently of last week, I've bumped up to the second team. So that's mostly like the under 23s or anybody that doesn't play with the main team. So starting this weekend, actually, they kick off their season. So I'll be doing a lot of video capturing, editing, blog writing, graphics, pretty much everything. So it's me and only one other person. And it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. I'm out there filming games every weekend. At Loyola, currently I work with CCSJ as their PA team kind of project manager, kind of overseeing graphic design, video, and social media sort of things. And other than that, I worked as an RA, which was a little less fun than what I do now, but I've done that for 3 years, so I can't really complain.
Thanks, Brandon.
My name's Talia Dixon. I graduated class of 2022, and I got my master's class of 2023. I currently work at WBAL TV 11. I'm a creative services associate producer there. So any teases or like commercial production and promotion stuff, that's me to promote the next new show that's coming on. I work here also at Loyola for the live game day production for ESPN Plus. I do some color analyst for the women's basketball team and sideline reporter for men's and women's basketball. And then any like live graphics that's pushed out during the games, and audio, stuff like that.
What did you do when you were here at Loyola? Were you involved in anything here at Loyola?
The women's basketball team.
Oh,
I played.
Just a varsity athlete.
Yes, I played here, and I worked with the communications department in athletics too. I did some social media stuff with them as well.
Great, thanks, Talia.
Hi, my name is Emily Zuhowski. I graduated in 2020, which was interesting. I am currently a lifestyle host and executive producer at WCSC, the CBS affiliate in Charleston, South Carolina, so a little bit further away from you guys. Before that, I was the weekend morning anchor there and a multimedia journalist, MMJ, for interview journalism students out there. I'm sure you know what that is, a one-woman band. So I've worked at the same station for 2.5 years, literally done it all, stood out in the rain many times.
It's all about the rain, friends.
Yeah, so I launched my own show back in September. So it's been a journey. It's kind of a dream come true. And when I was at Loyola, I was at the Greyhound. I interned so much. I think I had like 7 internships. I interned here on campus. I was at WBIL, 6ABC in Philly, Today Show out of DC. Very busy, but it was lots of fun.
Hello, everyone. My name is James McBride. I'm a graduate from the Emerging Media Program in 2022. I currently work for the U.S. Department of Energy as a program communication specialist. I started in the federal government literally right after I graduated from Loyola in 2022. I worked in AmeriCorps, if anyone is familiar with that. That's the National Service Agency. I was the program social media specialist there, and then I just got a promotion within September. I went from a GS5 to an 11, if anyone is familiar with the pay scale. And that's unheard of in federal government, but you know, God is good. But we jumped from there in the Department of Energy. It was fun at AmeriCorps. Definitely fun. You got to see a lot of the national service of what really the country does in the times of need, emergency management, cleaning up the community. I didn't know that was actually a part of the federal government. So that was very unique. But right now I'm dealing with the Office of Electricity, learning and protecting the grid. So of course, I didn't know the Department of Energy, and I'm not familiar with all of those technological terms, but I had to get familiar quick. But it was a great journey to get here. But this program, the Emerging Media Program, really helped me. It was online, so I didn't really have a whole lot of in-person presence here on campus. And I started it in 2018, but it's been a great journey, and I love the school. So you see, I'm a product of what can happen when you be a part of the Emerging Media Program.
That's awesome. Well, thank you all for those introductions. I think if we were to pan right now to St. Ignatius, I think he'd have like a slight tear in his eye with the overlaps of the different elements of your journey and how many times the word like community has already come up, or you know, different decisions that you've made. So we'd love to hear more about those with our first question.
Yes, definitely. So our first question is, so tell us about your career path. Where did you start to get where you are today in the journey?
You can make it as pretty or as messy as you are interested in making it. Christelle, do you want to start?
Yeah, I can start. So after graduation, I started off as a programs associate for Public Allies. So they are an AmeriCorps program actually that like places you in like different communities to help those who are disadvantaged. So I was working in DC at the time, and for Project Create, like I would go out and work with students and like teach them fine art skills and like graphic design, and then help them like learn the skills to help them in the future. So it was like really interesting to see like going back and forth, like how it relates to me and the way I grew up. So then after that, I was like doing a lot of like nonprofit work as a graphic designer. So I was at Catholic Climate Covenant, so that helps with the environmental stuff. And then my last job before the pandemic was at Leading Age, so they advocate for like older adults to have affordable healthcare and housing. And then after the pandemic happened, like during that time, I was like looking for jobs and then learning new skills in After Effects and like Adobe Illustrator. So that definitely helped me gain like the role that I have today. So what I do is like create content on like e-commerce platforms like Amazon, Instacart, Target, Walmart, and like create ranges of stuff like enhanced content, video, like main images. So like basically stuff that optimizes the product and makes the consumer aware of like what they're buying and like the information for it. So
Yeah, like
Yeah.
what specific products do you most of the time are, I guess, advertising?
Yeah, so mostly like food and then electronics. So like Bose, like we work with Bose or we work with Hershey. We also work with like a lot of like Dole products like fruit. So like for those images, we would connect them together and then like optimize it with like the specific call outs or like create videos and stuff for them. So it's like pretty fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Brandon, no pressure. Tell us a little bit about your journey, please.
I mean, I feel like my journey is a lot shorter than a lot of people's on here since I'm still kind of going through everything. In terms of internships, before Philly, I've only had a couple. I've only had two. I started out with this company called Canary. They're more of a business development sort of thing to help build your brand if you're starting up a company or that sort of thing. And I did a lot of remote video editing for a podcast that they would do or just any short form content. So it was a kind of really relaxed situation compared to what I do now. And then after that is where I sort of got into the sports industry, which was in the summer of 22. I worked with the United Soccer League, so there's a common theme there. And that's where I started doing a lot more with video editing and connecting with players and connecting with coaches and stuff like that. And outside of that, to build where I got to Philly, because that's where pretty much everything I've learned, I kind of apply there now. I'm working with players in person, filming everything with the goal of being at the main team. And a lot of that sort of thing was through Loyola and the classes, especially the video classes, because that's where I'm kind of a nerd with. And I still to this day make videos and stuff like that as a kind of side project or a passion project. And kind of building those skills with like Adobe Premiere or Photoshop, that's where I really started to get my foot going or started to get on the ground running. And I think one of the biggest things that I did was just make kind of concept kind of projects where it's like, it's not real, but it's still showing off those skills. And that was something that I used to get hired at Philly because I didn't have anything to show really, but using what I've learned there and then doing what I like to do at home, whether it's with family or just like music that I like, making a video or something like that with After Effects. I feel like that was a huge thing. And that's honestly where I've gotten to with it now.
It's amazing. So you said something that I think would be relevant to the timing of this point in the semester. You mentioned courses. What advice do you have as students start to register, whether it's something in the core, whether it's something in the major? You know, maybe just share a little inspiration of what's your thought or what advice would you give a student now based on your experience just with trying a course or a registration process?
I think in the communication industry, it's big to kind of at least dip your toes into everything. I focused on digital media and ad PR, so that's 2/3 of it I kind of covered. But I did take 2 journalism courses. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but still at Philly, I am in charge of doing recaps for the academy, which they're not the craziest thing in the world, but like I still have to write and kind of to put everything I've saw into thought and writing. And I think the other thing to build off that is to kind of go into classes that you have an interest in. Like I love video, and I think 90% of my comms courses were video courses, whether it was multimedia digital or multimedia storytelling or video 1 and 2 or or studio, or I forget the name of it, but it was involved with the studio. I think it's just where you're most comfortable with and where you have a big interest, on top of like kind of figuring everything out, kind of at least getting a surface level of everything. I think that's probably one of the most important things that got me through the program here.
But maybe try to lean into that journalism, even if it's not exactly calling your name.
Yeah.
Get your toe in the water there. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's great.
I definitely agree with that too. Just being like as a student here, most of my portfolio work, even though I've had these internships, has been from classes that I've taken, like Video 1, Video 2, and also like our advanced TV news reporting class. The classes are really where you can get some really nice work for your website, for your portfolio, to show off to potential employers and things like that.
Talia, your journey. How did you get in this chair today?
I feel like my journey was kind of rough because I did play basketball. My biggest focus was basketball when I was here. I knew at first I wanted to be a physical therapist. I had a lot of injuries playing basketball, so I thought that, oh yeah, like I want to do bio. And no, bio was extremely hard, and I knew that I had a passion for storytelling. I knew that I had a story, so I was like, maybe I want to tell stories. And I didn't get an internship until my senior year, my spring semester senior year, and it was at WBAL TV where I work now. And then luckily I had a 5th year to play basketball, and that's when I really started to get more experience and dive into more of editing. And I would say, like he said, like tip your toes into everything. I'm more so focused on the journalism side. I could write my butt off, like really, really well. I knew that I could write, and I thought that I was gonna be a digital writer, a digital journalist, but I knew that I wanted to be on camera. So I didn't have as much video editing skills, and then it was until my internship in my 5th year where I really started to dive into the editing portion. So yeah, that's how I'm here today. And then now with wanting to be on camera, I reached out to the video production guy for ESPN Plus here at Loyola, and he was like, absolutely yes, like join the crew, and he has made it happen for me to be on camera for the basketball season.
So let's talk about that for a second. When you say you reached out, can you literally walk our students through what's some advice on reaching out? How literally did you get that email? What type of tone did you use? Like, what do you think? Just please walk us through that.
I wouldn't say like a beg, but like almost like you're eager, like you're excited to do something. Like just, hey, I'm Talia Dixon. This is what I want to do with my life. I'm really excited about this opportunity. What do you think about it? How can I do it? How can I help? Just almost selling yourself, selling your brand, selling who you are, and make you seem like you could be a great part of the team to make that, but also make the connection genuine. You don't just want to say, hey, do you have a job for me? Or can I do this? But like, hey, how are you? I see that you do this, do your research, understand what they do, know what they do, but also to sell yourself too.
That's awesome. And how did you get the email address?
Online, I think, or well, I reached out to like other people in the athletic department.
Okay.
And my teachers definitely, with my internship at WBAL, Jenny Glick, she's the one who helped me get in touch with Tim Tootin, who's actually retired from WBAL now. But definitely my teachers has helped me so much with the connections as well.
There's that Loyola Nation again, showing up. That's awesome. Thanks,
Tim
Talia.
Tootin actually teaches a class now, too.
Do you know that name? Do folks in the room know the name, Tim Tootin? He's really just a great advocate with the university and just a good partner. It's great.
He's the best.
You saw him in the parking lot.
Yeah, I saw him in the parking lot this morning. He's the best. Okay, so I've just always wanted to be a broadcast journalist. I would do like weather reports when I was like 5 years old in my backyard. Always wanted to do it. My high school had a TV studio there, so I got involved in that. I hosted like a teen show in New Jersey back when I was growing up. Interned at some business place where I was on camera in high school. I don't know. I was just like kind of doing anything I could to get my foot in the door because I knew I knew nobody in the business. My parents didn't go to college, so I just wanted to like try anything when it came to it. When I came here, I was just super interested. I would tell all my professors how much I wanted to, be on the news one day and all of that. And I would try to get any experience I could here. When you want to be on camera, you have to, if you're in college or you're just starting out, you have to get all that material that you can for your reel because that's really the only way that you'll even be considered to get a job. So if you don't know what a reel is, it's just kind of a montage of your best clips and then some packages, so some stories that you can put together. So I tried doing that here. and then just interned all over, and that was my biggest thing. And I pretty much lived at the Career Center, I feel like. Eileen was such a big part of my journey here, and she helped me. Networking was like my thing. I was always taking calls in my free time with different people who worked at CNN or Today Show or anything like that, and that's how I was able to land a lot of those internships. And then graduated right during the height of the pandemic, so that was rough, but I dealt with that adversity and I said, what am I doing next? I called a Loyola connection who worked at the Today Show. He said, call up this reporter that I know at ABC7 in New York. I called her up. She was like, you need to go get your master's right now from Northwestern. So that's what I did. I applied, moved to Chicago, got my master's there. At Northwestern, I was on like a Chicago TV station there, doing some stories. And then applied for my first job in TV, got the call the next day that Charleston, South Carolina was interested, and took the job sight unseen. I moved there. It was an MMJ, like I said, so one-woman band. I would have to come in every single day with 3 story ideas that were very well thought out, investigative focused. I would have to go call all the people in one day. I had to do all this. Call all the people, get the interviews done, shoot all my own footage myself, lug all the equipment, sometimes very far distances, drive everywhere myself, shoot all that footage, edit it together, send it back from my car, do my own live shot, come back, write a web story, do social media. Like it was a lot.
In the rain.
In the rain, in the heat, in every condition, on the side of the road, wherever, in the middle of the woods. Like it was crazy. And in TV, you a lot of times have to work some crazy hours. So I would have to wake up at 2 a.m. on the weekends, and it was I worked every weekend, every holiday, kind of paid my dues. And then they came to me and they said, we're launching this new show, and we think you'd be great to host it. So I ended up getting that job, and I worked for a few months putting together the show. It was kind of like a class project that I did here. Like I remember back when Sarah McGee wanted us to kind of create our own shows in class, and that's basically what I did, only in real life. So got together with a team, came up with the concept, and now we are the #1 lifestyle show in the Low Country. We're on 5 days a week, 9 to 10 a.m. I shoot probably 4 to 7 segments a day, in-studio interviews in the field. So it's been a journey, but made it.
You're all here. This is amazing.
Yeah.
James, we'd love to know the James journey. What got you in our seat today?
As Brandon alluded, he was the youngest. I think I'm the oldest on this panel.
We did not ask these questions for the record. These questions are coming up naturally.
Yes. So,
we're glad you're here.
Oh, thank you. My journey started when I was 16. I was in high school. I had a trade called media production. So I did a little bit of everything: radio, journalism, video production. It was a contest that we competed in for video production, and we was #2. So it was close. I was trying to get #1. But I ended up interning at a news station that's here, WMAR, ABC2. They had a teen media project. So it was a great experience learning the tricks and trade of journalism and being a reporter, a producer. We did a little bit of everything. So on our Saturdays, we was working 8 to 5. So mind you, you're going to school 5 days a week, and I had a part-time job. So it was a journey, but I was more so inspired to do like more stories that can be positive because of the negative connotations that we see on the news today with killings and all the other things that goes on. But I ended up meeting an artist that was an actor as well. He was on The Wire. His name was Panama. So I met his publicist. We went to do an interview with him, one of my friends that was in the station, so I went. So the publicist was like, I think that this job will be good for you because the type of questions that I was asking, because I was more creative, because I was given ideas on how to promote or really publicize that event that was going on at that time. And mind you, this is 2010. So it wasn't a lot of social media. It was, MySpace was a thing. So that's how long it's been.
It cutting edge.
Yeah, cutting edge, yes. So Facebook was on the move. And really the iPhone, it was the first or the second iPhone that was out, so the camera was not that good. So you can imagine the time that I was in. And that brought me into saying, okay, I don't really want to do journalism anymore. I was thinking about being a producer, so I ended up going to school for public relations at Morgan State University. And I started to really gravitate to that because it was more creative. I felt that at times journalism and really being a news station can box you in, so I wanted to be more creative. I wanted to do campaigns and really shift with the times before the times would shift with us. So I think that journey helped me to broaden my horizons. And then I started my own business because I was so hungry to just help promote or help brand or to do some marketing. I started my own business. And when I started my own business, I started to get clients just to get my own experience. And when I did that, I ended up really my faith-based community was really one of my main supporters. So I ended up putting together a conference because I noticed that most people wasn't aware of public relations, strategic communications, and how to market or how to brand. So I kind of put that together. And I actually wrote a book about it, and it was called Brand Your Business and Ministry. So I wrote a book about it in my senior year of college. Don't ask me how I did it, but I did it. Because I wanted to educate people that this is essential. Like, you can't run a business if you don't have a marketing plan or a communications plan because it doesn't work. And that led me right after I graduated from Morgan to apply for the Emerging Media Program. Because actually Morgan was here to take venture about the Emerging Media Program because Loyola reached out to us to be a part of that program. And I was really like on the edge right before the pandemic, and I was saying to myself, it's such thing as a digital media kit. Now it is. So you had social press kits, and all of those things are now essential. Back then, it wasn't a thing because, of course, it was the regular press release, the regular article, op-ed. So now everything is so digital. I wanted to be a part of that. So the Emerging Media Program really helped me to navigate the ideas, the skill set to push further with that. Then the pandemic hit, so everything became digital. So that my journey was literally, it's been almost 15 years now. So that's how old I am. but it's been a journey. It's been a journey. But I think that with this process, that with Loyola, especially in emerging media, one of the professors are here right now, we learned a lot, and definitely with the federal government, it was an easy breeze to get a job. So, and like I said, the elevation point from being a 5 to a 9 is impossible. Some people had to be in the government for 10 years. This program helped me to get a jump in pay in a year and a half. So, and that's why I kind of like emphasizing on that the emerging media program and working and telling the stories of really what you do in your role is really important.
It's amazing. That is a huge jump. Congratulations. We are very proud of you. That is amazing. That is Greyhound success right there. It's great. It's great. I'm going to ask Randy to jump in with a question from the student perspective and see what's on Randy's mind tonight.
Okay, thank you again for you guys coming. I feel like you guys said a lot of good information, but the question I had is kind of about transitions. I feel like you guys talked a lot about transitioning, whether it's from school or careers or roles. So how do you guys maybe handle these transitions, and what is kind of like your experiences with them?
In no particular order. Whoever wants to jump in. Thanks, Celia.
It was hard for me to transition. Like, especially after the COVID, like I didn't have a job like the whole summer. I literally was spending money with no income coming in. It was extremely hard, and I've had a lot of breakdowns about not having a job. But I am a person of faith, and I just prayed on it. But lean into those connections. Like, I wouldn't have gotten the job that I'm at now without my internship. And I didn't apply for this job that I have now. I got the call from my internship supervisor. Hey, we have this new position coming up. Are you interested? Absolutely. Like, I just leaned on the people that I knew. Without that, I would not have had that job. So if you've had internships, if you've reached out to people, use your teachers, all of your connections to be a part of that transition, because you cannot do it alone, like, at all.
Looked like you wanted to say something quickly. For me, I felt like my experience with like transitioning from where I am today was a little bit easier because the first teacher that I had was like in studio arts, and fortunately she's on sabbatical, but Mrs. Mary Beth Aker in the studio arts department, like she noticed that I had like a knack of like paying attention to like details and like patterns when I'm like creating my artwork, and she was like, you're definitely a fashionista. So she suggested I add communications with digital media to my degree, so that's how I met Professor Biswas, and like he was also my supervisor, and he like guided me to where I am today with like graphic design and stuff. So I definitely say like having the will and like what's the word for it? Like the zeal to like learn everything and teach yourself new stuff definitely helped me to get where I am today. So.
Great. It's a good question, Randy.
I think also just remembering why you're doing what you're doing, because there was a lot of hard days. I know we were talking about it in TV news and the TV business. There was a lot of really hard days. I know a lot of people might think it's so glamorous, but there is a lot of really hard things that come with it. And like I said, scheduling, and you're missing out on so many things. You know, you're missing out on holidays and spending time with family and all of that. But I always, even on the hardest days, like I always was just like, all right, what am I working towards? And like I always knew that there was, like I was still at the beginning, you know, because when you're starting out, you're not going to work the most glamorous job when you're right out of college. So just keep going. And like I never would have thought like this time last year that I would be as happy as I am now, and working like in a dream situation. So you just got to keep going.
Transition through it. James, what's your thought?
With transition, I think that you have to foretell what changes that's being made in our industry. One thing I think that I was up on was that social media was going to be a thing, and that was in 2015, 2016. And working with clients, they really didn't have a whole lot of marketing strategy for social media. So I think that the next phase is really being up on what's next. So when you up on what's next, you train yourself on what's next, and then that will make yourself marketable. I think being different is a good thing. And when you have something different that you bring to the table, that's what makes your next job even greater, because you have something different that no one else has.
What do you think are some examples of that? What do you think would be relatable for our students, those things that help make them stand out?
Yes, so for example, when I graduated Morgan, I wanted to be a part of like digital, a little bit of digital communication, but I didn't recognize that you had to have like certifications in Meltwater or Hootsuite. They really wasn't popular then, but those things were really essential now. So they have like academies, especially for like Meltwater. Some jobs, that's how they house their social media and really hold their content together. So it's a plethora of ways. That's one thing I would say that you would use, because with the students, get those certifications, those internships, and those experiences, because I think coming out of college, I thought that I was going to get the dream job, but it's very, very hard. So I had to separate myself from the pack. The business did kind of do that, but those certifications and those skill sets will. So if you know a particular skill set, and really attention to little details. So mind you, I work with a bunch of, I say it's a whole lot of women. I'm the only guy. so I'm the only guy. So I'm sitting here, you know, they having a lot of women conversations. I'm just like, you know, nodding my head. So, it's really, and then when it comes to work, when we look over certain things, they catch that little spacing error in certain things. So I would say those things, pay attention to details, guys. Pay attention to the littlest thing, because it makes a difference when you post, because then of course we got to edit spacing issues on content, or posting certain things that you didn't recognize that you didn't need to post. It was already above the curve. So those little details, those things that you can kind of work on while you're here, because when you get out there, it's 1, 2, 3, ready, set, go. Yeah. You know, it's no time to change it, and then once it's public, it's hard. So.
Yeah, I think we alluded a lot to this, but our next question is, what challenges have you faced in your job? Either an example of that, a time where you questioned, is this even what I'm supposed to be doing? Or maybe a moment where you messed something up and had to come back from it. How did that go, and what did you learn from it as well?
So I think one of the things that came to mind, because you guys have kind of blended a question or kind of idea that I had, and when things go wrong, I feel like in the communication industry, and maybe it's because I'm a student still too, so I'm like still going through these in classes. But like when you're doing a project, like I do video a lot for Philly. That's my main task is editing video that I shoot and all that. And I think when it comes to spacing, like you said as that example, that idea of if you get something back from your boss, that's not criticism more so, it's more so another idea. And I think that's one of the more important things in this industry, because you want another perspective on what you're doing. I don't want to post something, because I run the social media channels too, which I feel like is a little bit power for an intern right now, but I want another set of eyes on that. And I know even in undergrad, I felt like that was weird, because in video one, I remember being mortified because we were sharing our videos in class to the entire class and then having people give feedback on that, which now looking back on it is like one of the best things that could have happened, because even though I feel confident in the video and editing that I shoot, I'm still getting comments from my boss. And then that's good comments, because it's like, oh, I didn't think of that, or I didn't see it, and it's something that I can change. And I feel that that also works better too. And it shows on social media too, because that's also something you can monitor. But I think with being a student too, it's also another issue can definitely be time management, which I feel like I'm in a better situation than most, because I started my master's during my senior year last year. So I literally just kept going through the summer. I didn't really stop. But especially since I do have to travel to Philly, and then I'm editing, which can take a while, and then having assignments to do, I feel like that time management skill can also be super valuable in kind of avoiding any issues that you might run into.
Absolutely. And just also talking about criticism, I feel like a lot of times, like when you're showing your work to people and you're getting feedback, it's so hard not to take it to heart, like because you create this, you took so much time editing, and for someone to be like, oh, I don't know if I would do that transition, you're like, oh, I worked so hard in that transition, what are you talking about? Like thinking through it. But just thinking of it as someone, like from an outside perspective, not taking it too much to heart is definitely a great message that I should be learning from a little bit more.
And I think that's a good point too, because I can literally think of something yesterday where we were getting ready. They have the youth teams are about to go in the biggest tournament in the country in 2 weeks. And me and my coworker, I can already, like we were doing a video and we were like, oh yeah, we're not gonna do that anymore. So it's like, you kind of have to learn to brush it off, because it's not personal. That ended up just being a social media thing that we ended up just cutting that and then doing interviews on the fly with coaches. So I feel like that too is also one of those valuable skills, is like, okay, it kind of sucks, but like you gotta move on, because unless you're getting told like it's personal, it's never personal, which I've never been told that. So you just brush it off and then keep going. That's my best advice.
Absolutely.
And to secondhand that, I will say that like in this industry, you have the opportunity to brush it off and move on, at least like in live news. Like if you mess up, it's live, oh well, you have the next opportunity to do better. And the same with editing, like you post your video, you mess up, you take it down, you don't take it down, but you have a new video coming up to post tomorrow. So like you have these constant opportunities to continue to do better and continue to grow.
Yeah, I think that I second what Brandon said. This really, you gotta learn to be a team player. It's actually important that be a team player and just be open to critique, because mind you, I'm like I said before, I'm the only guy. So there's certain things that I might not be tentative to, they'll bring it to me. So then it's that one thing that I might know, I bring it to them. So it's kind of about just being open to critique and just knowing that change is inevitable. And I think that you just always got to be aware of changes that's going to happen. One person might not think the same on Monday, and then something be completely different on Tuesday. And this, like even in my current job, so my supervisor at the time, she asked me to do something in the beginning, but then it was contractors that was involved. So we had to create a whole new system to where we would house our social media, because then we would have a system where we would know what's being posted. So I created an Excel sheet, but she wanted to have the visuals and the captions all in one entity. So mind you, I had to work with the contractors, which I hated because it was a competition between me and the contractors. Just remember, any job that has contractors, if you're coming in to take their job, they will definitely be upset with you. So everything, and sabotage is a real thing, just to let you know. So Yes, that's you always got to be aware that change is inevitable, and always have, I would say, solutions and not more so. I forgot to do this. Always make sure you have a solution to what the problem was, because if you don't have a solution to it, they don't want to hear about excuses. Why I didn't do this? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Sometimes you just gotta say, I got a plan, game plan in place for it.
So helpful.
Yes.
So Caroline's going to ask a final question to one of our panelists, and then Randy's going to share time in the room with the students. So if you want to start getting your questions ready, or just put your head in that space, we'd love to take your questions in a few minutes.
Yeah, Emily, I know like from the television, journalism, broadcasting world, you mentioned this a little bit, but just having a lot of sacrifices. I mean, the sacrifice, you have to move away from your friends and family. You have to basically restart your life. How did you do that? How was the build up? How was your mindset going into this and everything like that?
I think through my networking and all the experience I had in college, I had a little bit of an idea of kind of what to expect, but it's exciting to move to a new place. Luckily for me, I had like my best friend from my master's program. He and I were actually moving to the same station together. It worked out that way. It was crazy. So we kind of had each other. I think you have to have like somebody you can lean on in that new place, whether it's a new mentor that you meet, a coworker, somebody there. I have like the biggest support system in my parents. To this day, my dad watches every single one of my shows and writes a whole page of notes about each one of my shows, and like I talk to them all the time. And you just have to have people that you can lean on. When I first started my station was going through like kind of a transition phase. All the reporters kind of left. It was two new reporters who were kind of the main reporters when I first started. Like my first week, I interviewed the governor. Like all just craziness. But I had to keep telling myself, like, this is what I worked my whole life for. This was always my dream, and like, I'm here, I'm doing it, and just like trust that it will get better, and it did.
Has there ever been, who is like the coolest person you've interviewed, or like your favorite experience so far?
Well, when I was at Loyola, we got to meet Savannah Guthrie, and like we went to the Today Show a few times.
It was 0.2 seconds, but it was amazing.
I interview, it's kind of like a talk show kind of format. I interview people every single day that are so cool, like different artists and musicians and chefs. We do so many food stories and stuff like that. This is hard. I don't know, like, I guess it's always cool to interview like a public official, like the governors or the senators or anything like that. That's always cool. My goal is to interview Darius Rucker soon because he lives in Charleston, and I'm like, I need to interview him and have him on my show.
And then please send it to Moss, and he'll send it out to all of us.
Yes.
We're going to hold you to that. Now you have accountability in the room.
Great.
So thank you all. We're going to transition to Randy to get some student questions. There's got to be some things brewing in your minds. No question is too big or too small. This event is for you. These alumni are here for you.
Hi.
And why don't you start just, that'll come on automatically.
Okay.
Your name and your class year, and maybe your major or your specialty, or what brought you here today.
Okay. Hi, I'm Sariana. I am a junior. I'm a communications major in digital media, advertising, and PR. I came here today because my professor, Mr. Shumway, told me about this event, and also my mother. But yeah, and my question was, I'm currently in the process of like applying for internships and stuff, and I'm having a lot of struggle with that. Like, what piece of advice would you give about like internships and like trying to make those connections so that you can obtain those internships?
I would say number one, go to the Career Center. Use all the resources that they have, and always ask if there's an alum from Loyola that works at that company. And if there is, reach out to them on LinkedIn. Don't be afraid. It's not weird. I get messages all the time, and I like to see that people want to do it, and it shows initiative, and I think it does make you stand out. Don't be afraid to like Google. I know it might seem creepy, but like Google their email and just reach out and just say who you are, introduce yourself, and why you would like to work there so much. And I think that does make you stand out.
Anybody else have a thought on that? James, you have a thought?
I would say join like a particular organization that revolves around marketing, digital marketing, PR. I was a part of the PR SA, got to meet a lot of people. My internship from WMAR, I kept a contact with a lot of connections there. Use every base, I would say, and like Emily said, use LinkedIn is a good source. LinkedIn, just inbox the person, just DM, what we could call it, DM the person. So I would say just definitely, just reach out to the person, look the person up, search, just put it in a search of the type of position that you want to do. And actually, in the better yet, just kind of figure out what type of position and then Google that or even search that person to reach out to them because they might have a resource because you just never know who's hiring and who's not hiring. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's also a feature on LinkedIn where you can go to Loyola University of Maryland and look up our alumni. We'll be here after. We'd be glad to talk more about that one-on-one. But you can actually look where those alumni are, and it's all out there on LinkedIn. I always say with LinkedIn, you're not knocking on their kitchen window, right? You're not invading someone. They've put themselves out there, so they are reachable. You know,
Also, what I've done, this might be going a little crazy, but a lot of times now Instagram is a great way to connect with people too, because LinkedIn, some people just don't check it enough. Sometimes if you just Instagram direct message like the company or someone that works at the company, comment on a post, be like, oh, like this seems really cool. Just start the conversation there. It's not creepy at all, I promise. I do it a lot, like, and people are getting them as well. So now it's just keeping up with everything and everything like that.
Great.
So yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kate. I'm a freshman. I'm a comm major with PR and advertising. In regards to interviewing, I was wondering, like, what's a tip you guys have for when you're interviewing? Oh, my name tag fell. When you're interviewing someone and they're not giving you like the answers you want or the content you're looking for, they're kind of going the roundabout way, trying to kind of like slide through. What's a tip you have to kind of get the answers you need and get the content you want?
And you mean an interview for a story, not a job interview?
Yeah, no, yeah,
Okay.
for a story.
For a story.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
The best question to always ask at the end of every interview is there anything else you'd like to add? That's usually how you get like the best soundbite or the best answer, because sometimes sometimes people feel like attacked, but I mean, even if you're not attacking them or like, you know, going at it in, you know, a hard way, like people just get really nervous when they're being interviewed, especially if there's a camera in their face. So if you kind of give them the floor, a lot of times that's when you get the best content.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you.
And we're really happy first-year students. How many first-year students are here who joined Kate? Other ones? Okay, great. How many sophomores are here? Okay. How many juniors are here? And seniors, where are you? Okay. And I see some emerging media friends, nice and high. Brendan Sweeney in the house. Okay. It's great.
Another thing that I learned with that, because I had a really hard time with it, was if you ask the question and they're not really giving it to you the way you want, let them become more comfortable, and you can be like, oh, like, can we revisit this question? I want to get more in detail.
Okay,
That's what I do too.
All right, sweet. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Osei Amafo. I'm a communications major, PR and advertising. I'm also with Greyhound News. Came here get to talk to people. And a question I had was, what would you say to a student who is wary on whether communication is the field that they want to pursue?
I can help you with that. I think that strategic communication is so broad. You have to figure out which niche that you want to do. Do you want to be in PR? Do you want to be in SCOM? Do you want to be in investor relations? Do you want to be in labor relations? I'm just finding out in the federal government that there's trade relations that's actually a part of communication. So there's a plethora of opportunity. You just got to figure out which niche that you want to do. Once you figure that out, then you actually just pursue that path. And there's plenty of pathways to what part of communication that you would want to do. So it's just about really kind of educating yourself on what types of strategic communication that's out there. So I think that's probably the way to find out, okay, this is what I want to do. If you want to do social media, I'm going to do everything in my power to know about what social media is, how do they prepare and prep content. All of those things kind of go together, because then once you get into the field, it's kind of an easy breeze. From my experience, I didn't necessarily know how they house social media once I got into it, because I would just have a Word document with captions. But now you have to have the link, the picture, the caption, hashtags. All of these things needs to be housed together. So if you have those elements, you'll be good. That's just an option, and just give an example. But just being up on what the skills are and just kind of just going through there and develop and master it in a sense.
Also, when you're in communications, you cultivate so many transferable skills like writing, editing, people skills. And so if you say a lot of people leave TV news and they go to PR, and a lot of my friends have done that, gone to corporate communications. And it's not like they have to leave all of that years, all those years of experience behind. They, get to just use them in a different way. So I think that's a great thing about communications.
Great question. Another question from our students. Thanks, Randy.
Hi, I'm Molly Gerard. I'm a sophomore, communications and writing interdisciplinary major. And I was wondering, I know you guys mentioned a little bit about like time management, and was wondering like, how do you guys decide which opportunities to fully pursue, or like which clubs, I guess, at this level to kind of like lean into with limited time, and like which internships to apply for? If you are finding yourself with like limited time or resources for that.
I feel like you make time for what's important to you. Like I said, like I was an athlete, but like I knew that I wanted to be on live TV. I knew that I wanted to do live production. So I made sure that I had time to, after practice, I would go home, practice my editing. I would go to a lacrosse game. I would work a lacrosse game after I had a 3-hour practice. Like, make the time for things that's important to you. So if you do join a club, you'll make time for it because that's what you want to do. Like, it's not almost, I feel like now, like I don't feel like I have a job because I enjoy it. Like if you enjoy doing something, you're not going to feel like you're working. Like, you're actually just going to feel like you're going about your day and you're having fun doing it. So just the time management piece, I would just say, like, find something that's going to make you enjoy it so that you don't feel like it's taking a bunch of your time.
Does that help, Molly? Yeah. Okay. I'm glad to hear that. I think there was another question I saw. So while Randy makes his way, we're going to throw the women's basketball team some good vibes tonight. Talia, what do you think? Are you going? Do you have a prediction of a score? What do you think?
I don't have a prediction of a score, but I just hope we win. I'm feeling good.
And how does it feel as an onside commentator to be not there?
I know.
Painful, right?
Like wanting to go. I actually was looking up flights, but they were a little too expensive with my pockets. But no, yeah,
That's great. That's great. And we'll take your final question now, and then we'll transition to some mingling. I'll give a little bit of tips of how we're going to do that with our panelists.
Hi, my name is Samantha Jones. I'm a junior. I have a double major, double specialization in journalism and media and society. And my question is, I have a background in, I'm an evergreen currently and have been for the past 2 years, and we always talk about what is our why for what we do. So what is your why for what you do?
Samantha, you're invited next year to come help us host. That's a great question.
I guess I'll go. So I guess the why for me is I love soccer. That's my sport. I didn't play in college. I wasn't that good, but I played intramurally, so at least we got the fun part of it. But I think also mixed with that is I love doing video stuff, and I just love filming, and I love editing. I'm a literal nerd, and I'll like go into my camera roll with just maybe even stuff from Snapchat that I have and just like edit it together and just see what I can do. And I think that's very important because, like you said, I love what I do. I love being at Philly, so it doesn't feel like I'm working even on that hour and a half drive. Like I'm still to this day, like even through September, I started last year, I still love doing that drive and I still love going because I'm mixing my love for soccer with my love for video or communication. And and it hasn't faded at all. And I think a big part of that too is, specifically for video, I feel, is I'm working with players every day and I'm working with coaches and I'm also working with the staff in the office. And I think it's real fun that even though the academy players, like they're kids, so like having somebody film them, they're obviously going to be doing whatever they can to make it more fun. But just having that, doing what you want to do, mixing it maybe with something else, because communication is very flexible and it can kind of mold to whatever you want to do. Honestly, everybody has talked about what they love, and I feel like it's molded to what they do. And I feel like that you should put at the forefront. And maybe even undergrad, it might more so be just finding internships that, you know, can get that skill. Because you're an undergrad, you're just trying to find whatever. I mean, that's what I did with my first internship. That was just getting my toes in the water and just seeing what I can do. To now doing what I love, mixing with what I love, I feel like that's what you need. You should drive yourself on through undergrad. And even if you do a master's too.
I love being a source of education and information for a community. I work for the dominant station in the market. It's the oldest station in South Carolina. So people trust us so much for, all the information. When I was in news, I would share people's stories, sometimes in their darkest times. And it was so amazing to me that people would trust me to do that. And now it's fun to see, the positive impact. I do a lot of stories on small businesses, and, people get so grateful, that, people now know about their small business or something like that. So it's cool to feel like you're making a difference in some way and helping people shed light on whatever they need in their life.
Yeah, mine is similar to Emily. We're kind of in a similar field. But with mine, I have pictures. I have to visually show someone's story. I know that I had a story, and I feel like everyone has a story, and I know that I want to be in sports, even though I'm not completely right now. My end goal is to be in a sports world completely. But being able to tell athletes' stories, we have a whole mental health thing that is a big topic now. So that's my why. I know that I had my own story, so being able to tell other athletes' stories as well.
I feel like my story is similar to what Brandon was saying with graphic design. So the why what I do is because obviously I love doing it, I have a passion for it. So when you have a job that connects with what you love, then it feels like you never actually work a day in your life because you're doing what you love and stuff. So it's just the fact that I get to see what I'm doing is out there, and being talking with the client and seeing their faces and be oh, we love this. Thank you so much for connecting with us and talking about our needs, and just getting the product out there. It's just my why. And then it's just my goal in life is to bring happiness to others. So I just love interacting with people and stuff like that.
That's amazing. Did everyone have a chance to go? Did you go, James? Okay.
So I agree with everyone on the panel. You have to love what you do, but I basically love maintaining relationships with the organization and its publics. Basic PR definition. With success or failure, I love to maintain relationships with the public, with the organization as well. So that's really my why. I think that, plus understanding that the industry, that everyone needs communication. I think that the world can't move unless we communicate, right? So even if it's formal, informal, communication is essential. Journalism is essential. Everything that we do in this panel is essential. So that's why I love it, because it's a need, and it will forever be a need, and it's always going to evolve in time. So that's why I love it, what I do.
Wow. Samantha, I can't think of a better question to end on. We're very grateful for that. That's fantastic. At this point, that concludes our Q&A portion. We have a mingling portion so that you can take time to get to know these alumni a little bit better and ask more individualized questions. So I think at this point, we will thank the panelists so they can transition back to the 5 tables.